We are going to work now on generating a UV map using one of the other tools of UV mapping, of manual UV mapping. And let me just get out of here. And we are going to use the spherical UV map. We've used the cylindrical already. You use the planar. We use the automatic. So we want to use the spherical. So I'm gonna for that we're gonna use this one. Actually, it's for this object. I'm gonna use it partially for that object. We know that this object, if we click on it, and we have it right now, just like that, because it was modeled like that, and it just the original model came from a cylinder initially, and they just extruded and modified some parts in it. But this top part is not being fixed yet. So in terms of the UVs, so we're gonna use a spherical map for doing this top part. The rest of it pretty much uses the cylindrical without a problem. So we need to, in this case, use the spherical. But before I do it here, I want to show it applied to another object so that you understand where the spherical tool comes from. I'm going to create a cube very quickly here, and I'm just going to bring it here to the side. I'm going to isolate it, and I'm going to just simply just make it a sphere. I'm going to smooth it one more time just so that it looks like a sphere. All right, there it is. So if you look at this map, it still thinks it's a cube, although it looks much more like a sphere. So in order for me to do a UV map, or the spherical UV map, I'm going to use the spherical tool. I'll not open it up just to look at it, what it is. And again, keep that checked on, no need to do anything. I'm going to just say project. And if you look, right away the map changed in this way. And if you look, there is a manipulator that it's around that sphere. And that manipulator, I can move it, I can change it so that it covers more or less. So I'm going to do that till I can close them together. And I'm going to grab the green, you see the green one, which is the other direction for the U value. So there you have it. Usually the spherical, and some of them have some little glitches, and it's always left outside, and you have to do a little manual work to fix it. But in essence, the spherical can be changed that way. Now, you gotta be conscious of one thing. There is in one of the corners of that manipulator, I'm gonna just open it up a little bit so you can see it a bit more. So I'm just opening up there for a moment. Let's see. And I'm gonna open it up in the green one too. So in one of the corners of the manipulator, there is a little red T. And what that does is that if you need, of course you don't need, like in this case you probably wouldn't need it, but if you need to modify the manipulator in the other ways, not only to close it and open it, but let's say to rotate it, you will click on that T, and that in a way allows you to click, appears a moving controller that you could use the map to change the way the UVs are placed on the object. You could also click on this circle to find a way to rotate it so that you are influencing the map on a different direction. That way you have control over the way the map is affecting the object. I'm going to do that because I don't need that. I'm going to just leave it the way that was. You can also modify this here. By doing that, you can just change the way it is. And if you need to go back and fine tune it here, you simply click on the T again, and then you can change it just to close it that way and to close it that way. What that is doing is simply just changing how much influence the or how much is covered in the space. I come here, just leave it like that. I'm gonna just move, not that. I'm gonna move. It's just Maya's glitching problem of Windows. All right, I'm gonna just take care of that in a minute. So I'm gonna move the here it is. There we go. Move this vertex just to get this object better. I'm gonna grab just that. Selecting the whole UV. Let me see if I can grab this one. Move it here. That one, move it there. And now that I have them there, I'm just simply going to select not the shell but these UVs. I'm gonna grab these two. I'm gonna just click here, the cut and saw here. I'm gonna say saw those. That kind of saws them all together, so that makes it a bit more organic. So now I got my map for this, although it's not perfect. I can go and change the scale for it. Just change it to make sure that it fits in my square, and we're good to go with that one. So that is what when you have a sphere. Now let's see it, because the sphere was just simply an excuse for us to see it in action. I'm gonna move the sphere to the side. Let's see how that would work on this object. So if I have this object and I look at my UV map for it, of course it is not right yet. And what I need to do is I need to create a UV map for that top semi-dome that you have. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the faces that belong to the dome, which are those. These ones are belong to the side cylinder, although there are some that I have there. I'm gonna just go and unselect. Let me just do it manually here. I'm gonna unselect, maybe from the top view I can unselect some of them a bit faster. Maybe not, let's go one by one. So control key and then just unselect the ones that I don't need. Sometimes selecting the faces is the hardest part, or is the one that is a bit slower, because these ones you don't want to be part of the dome, because you want those to be kind of planars that you're going to do independently. And I'm going to select those. So in the same object you can do multiple uses of UV techniques in order to generate your map. So this one is going to be for my dome of that screw, only that we're going to use. I think I got them all now. Yeah, you're going to use a spherical on it. I'm going to see it right away, spherical. Just open it up and you see there how the manipulator appears to be in a semi-dome case. And then of course that dome is not acting that way. You need to rotate it so that we have it a little bit better. So click on the T, click on the blue circle. I'm going to rotate it only on that axis so that I can bring it down to be semi-flat there. Let me see. I'm gonna just, you can see that when you rotate here, you start seeing the shape of that screw the best. And then I just grab, get out of the T one more time. I'm gonna look for the T one more time. Here it is. I'm gonna bring this guy down so I have a reference of the scale there, and I'm going to bring this guy down too so that I start shaping. I don't want to go all the way. I'm just gonna keep it like this, and it's kind of tilted a little bit to the side. That's why this line is not straight on. We need to have the line as straight on as possible, or horizontal better as possible. I'm gonna bring it down this way. I'm gonna try going and looking at it from another view that gives me a better angle. Oops, there it is. I'm gonna try rotating it in this angle too. I'm moving it. Let me just go to another angle here. It's a little bit like that. And then I'm going to do it from the top view. Because the screw is turned, that's why I cannot rotate the manipulator. Alright, that's starting to look much better now. So I'm just rotating it to align it to the slot of the center of the screw. So now I can just grab it, bring it down like this. That is my screw. I'm going to just move that from the center off to the side somewhere to finish working on it. And I'm gonna grab this. Usually they have a little bit of a glitch, so you have to go manually and grab those faces to know where they belong. They usually are. There's a little bit of stretching going on there, but at least this way you'll be able to go and paint the texture. Let's see if I can select these two. I'm gonna say so there. Oh, that wouldn't work. We want to have it here close. I'll move it here. I'll move this one here and this one probably there for now. And I have the top of my screw taken care of in terms of that map. There it is there. I'm going to go to perspective so you can see I have a map for all of it. So I'm going to move this one to the side here, and I'm going to just simply generate a cylindrical for this one already. I think it has it. It's already there. There are a few left here. Let me see which ones they are. Those are, oh, these are from another thing. These ones are the part of the screw that are like this. Of course, this part down here is the longest part of the screw, and this one is the bottom part of it, which that's okay, just to keep it like that. I'm gonna move this one to the side here, and I'm going to make this one actually has to be as large as it needs to be. So I'm gonna have to scale them to match this length, because you don't want to have them tiny when they need to have a proportionate scale to what they are. Maybe not that much, like that. And then I have also this one is part of that, and this one is actually, I don't want that one to be like this, because that one needs to be a planar, and I'm going to do a planar on the Y. And you'll see in a minute, planar on Y, because of course it's downwards, because it needed to be a disc like that. And I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to grab my move tool, I'm going to move it here, make it a little bit larger. So I've got that one, and I need this one to be I'm going to right click and just shell, that way you can select that whole object. Move tool, I'm going to move it here, and I have this ones. Let's select UVs here. I need to make, let's see, those, let me select those faces. Those faces are those which are not right. You see, you only see one row here, and there are a bunch of rows there, so it need to be done. So I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to do a planar from this one to this one with not, I don't want these guys. At least I'll have a separate for those. And this this one belongs to the bottom part, that's fine. That one is there. So I'm gonna do a planar on this one because it has to be plane, it's flat, so you want a planar map. So UV planar on Y also. Project. There it is. It's kind of twisted because of course it's not aligned with the thing, so you need to click on the T again, select on this guy, that way you can rotate it so that you can bring it the best possible. You can see that it will start looking more like what it needs to be. I'm going to shrink it down to sort of match the scale that it has in the thing. I'm going to move it to the side here. That's as small as this. So I'm going to just click on the side, shell selected. I'm going to use my scale tool to kind of scale it proportionally and place it in my area right here for now. So I got that. Now I have to do a couple planars to do this, but you can start seeing that those are this. You see all of them got selected at once, plus maybe, let's see, not that. Let me select those faces and then select this faces and that. I need to select the ones on this side. I'm just clicking here. So notice how I'm selecting them here and selecting, you can select them in the UV. Alright, oh, I don't need this because this will be a separate planar. There we go. So those are going to be planars in Z probably. So I'm going to project a planar in Z. You can see the direction is the blue, so I'm going to do that. Apply. Let's see, that doesn't look right. I'm going to undo that. Oh, because I selected the whole thing. Let me just see what I did. I did something wrong. I'm undoing because I clicked on by accident. I clicked on the top. There it is. By accident, I selected the top, and I don't want the top. Here, that, this, that, and that. Oh. Those. And then I'm gonna do a planar there, planar in Z. Apply. Oh, that's better. It's only that it doesn't need to be that much. It's just small. I'm gonna use the scale tool to just bring it down, and that's going to be probably match with this. It's a little bit shallower, so I'm moving it like that so that the side of the screw. And I have only pending these other ones, which I imagine are these ones plus these ones. There are a couple left there, plus these ones. Let's see. Yeah, that's just only those. So that's going to be another planar in Z. Here is my planar still open. Apply. I'm going to bring my UV editor again. Shrink it down. I'm going to just bring them down here. And I'm going to move them there. Those, because the projection came, it's opposite to the other one, I'm going to flip them with the scale tool. Actually, you cannot flip them anymore. Okay, well, never mind. So we're just going to have to scale them down. And you have to rotate them. I'm just gonna place them sort of where they match, where they belong. Maybe scale them down a tiny bit more, a bit wider, because they're not as high. And I'm gonna just move them to where they sort of match the other thing. But because I rotated them, the UVs are still reversed, so I actually need to somehow flip them. So I'm gonna use that under tools. I'm sorry, under modify. I have this flip. And open it up and see if it says flipping them. I'm going to say apply. So that flip them to the other side. That way I know they are receiving the texture in the right direction. They have to be flipped because the projection also only happens from the positive to the negative. So if I have this guy, the guy is receiving the texture from behind, not from the front. So that's why I needed to flip them. All right, so now I have all of my objects. I just need to bring these guys into the area. And the last thing I'm going to do is I have all of it already there. Yeah, I can manually adjust it, but I want to show you an extra tool. And there is a select everything. I can say modify. I'm going to say layout. And you'll let it do it for you. With what that does is that it just places everything at the right scale so that they match the proportions, proportion between each other, and uses the space as much as possible. I'm not too happy with the way these guys are placed there. I could just grab right click and shell this guy, and I'm just gonna place it this way here, and then this one too. I don't like them when they are so kind of close to the edge and having some space to work with them already. And this guy actually belongs somewhere else. This guy never got connected to anything, so I'm gonna see if I can connect it. So I'm going to actually, because I was thinking this guy belonged here, but if you click, you see it, that edge, that vertex is there. But if I sit around here, you see that this corner gets selected in two different places. So actually this guy belongs there. So I'm gonna try a different technique. I'm gonna grab this edge. You see that both edges are selected, and I'm gonna try to say it. Not again. I'm gonna try to grab it. Alright, here it is. So I'm gonna try to grab it. I'm gonna say stitch together to see what it does. So that's got stitch there. That means I'm gonna have to grab probably this shell. I'm gonna move it out of the way. That way I don't get annoyed by it. And I'm gonna just grab these vertices. Not all of those, but just this. I think I can do it better by the edge. So no reason I'm not going to be able to move it. Let's see. There it is. So the guy got moved. At least it belongs, or it is where it belongs. So that gives you a better chance to do it. Now, pretty much I have my map taken care of. Now, one last thing that we want to take a look at is that a good way to know if your textures will be proportionate or will get distorted is by turning on your checkered. And the checker allows you to look at the object. Let me see if I can do it. I'll have the use material here turned on. And that if you click on the object and you see that they are more square-like, they are the UVs are proper. If not, you need to do some corrections. So you see, for example, this one is, and the program didn't do it right. So I'll turn it off for a moment. I'm gonna select these faces. I'm gonna select this shell. I'm gonna turn on that, and I'm gonna just modify it a little bit so that you see you want the squares to look like squares. You don't want them to look like rectangles, because rectangles will give you bad results. There is something wrong here that is not looking quite right, and that was the program itself doing the actual thing, the actual layout. So I'm actually going to grab these edges here, selecting the whole thing there. I'm gonna make sure that I'm working by UVs. I'm gonna select them now. I'm gonna move these guys down here to where they belong. Let me just double check my checkers one more time. That looks a little bit better, but still, this don't look like squares. This one look a bit better, but this one don't look like squares. So let me just turn it off for a moment. I'm gonna select these faces and I'm going to scale them. Use the scale tool here. Let's see if I can do it here because it's more selected the face and I want to scale the face and I want to select the the actual UV map here. Let's see if I can do it here. Okay, I was having some trouble here, lost my preferences for some reason. Couldn't manipulate my UVs anymore, so I'm back working on it again. So here is if I turn on my checkered, I'm gonna turn off here so you can see it there. I'm gonna grab my scale tool, I'm gonna modify it so that I can see those squares to look more like squares. You see that they are different scale from the other ones, so you actually need to change them so that all squares have the same scale, because that's what you're going to do your texturing matching the same scale. That way it'll be a little bit better. And this one has a bit of a challenge in scale. Let me try to select this face here and this one, because you see how in the center the objects look a little odd. So I'm going to the checkered, I mean. So I'm going to change them. I'm going to scale them up, but before I scale them up, I'm going to now turn on my soft selection so that I have an effect of soft selection that affects that. I don't want it to affect everything, I just need to affect this. So I'm going to just scale down this value very tiny, let's say 0.02, or maybe 0.1. Okay, that's going to affect just that area. And I'm going to change it, so I'm modifying my, oh, hold on, I am selecting these guys here. I don't want those guys to be selected actually. So let me try to do it here. See if I can do it only on my vertices, my UVs. That scale, the soft selection is too large. I'm going to say 0.1. Turn off the soft selection first before I actually select. When I select just these guys, just this one, that one, and those four, I don't want to select anybody else because that wouldn't be a good thing. Now I'm going to turn on my soft selection. I'm going to reduce the value to 0.1, maybe even small, 0.05, and then I'm going to try scaling so they look a little bit better. I'm going to increase my soft selection to let's say 0.1. See if that makes a better effect. It'll be better. So that helped me with increasing the scale, but I want to make them a bit more equalized. They don't look that quite there yet, and because they are not equalized, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them, and I'm going to use a tool that we're going to use a lot in the future, and it's called unfold. So I'm going to just select the shell on both, or double click on both to select just those. I'm going to say modify, unfold, and that takes care of it, because it equalizes all of the UVs there. I just need to make them larger. So in order to make them larger, I'm going to scale them down. I'm going to just be able to just generate a little bit of to keep that. So they are going to be sort of there. I'll just separate them a little bit. and I got a good size that matches better my scale. So yeah, it takes a little bit. So you want to do a little bit of these guys too. Let's see if I can get those guys too there, just to get the scale appropriate, and just make them a little bit smaller. That way they match better. So here, the key element that you want to see, the letters matching, the letters looking appropriate, and it's a combination of things. So just to wrap it up, we did a cylindrical, a cylindrical for this part, spherical for this part, and then we just moved some UVs around and use the unfold tool to finish correcting the checkered, which is the one that gives us the reference to see if the pixels will be matching correctly or not. The checkered is very important because that's what it's going to tell you if your object, your texture is going to be stretched or not. Okay, so that's it for this video. Let me just press save here.